All right, welcome to Wednesday Live with Evie, where each week I share on a topic relating to productivity. Welcome to the recording. Say hi in the comments so I know that you stopped by. And today is Wednesday Live with Evie number 48, and that means that there's 47 other topics all about productivity waiting for you over at the One Insight Closer Facebook page in the videos area. So head over there after you watch this one and check some of those out. Today's topic is steps to procrastinate less. So procrastination is something we've all done at one point or another. Maybe you're doing it now, who knows? But today we're going to talk about why we procrastinate and how to procrastinate less. Specifically, we're going to go into some common reasons why we procrastinate, why self-care is so important and what it has to do with procrastination. And then we're going to talk about the two types of productivity and what they look like. You might have heard me talk about these before. If not, then you'll learn something new today. So that's exciting. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Evie Burke, and I work with entrepreneurs and I help them take their productivity to a new level. I help them figure out why they're procrastinating and how to do it less. But more importantly, I help them be fully present with the people that they spend their evenings with or their off hours with, because they don't have to spend their time worrying about what didn't I get done today, what did I forget about, or what are the things I need to be thinking about for tomorrow. They have it under control, they have a plan, they have a system. So everyone watching, if you could say hi in the comments, I would love to know that you're here and say hi. And just to make sure everybody can hear me. I've had problems with that in the past, so let me know below. And like I said, today's topic is steps to procrastinate less. And it's the time of year where we're looking at what's worked in the past, what we want to do in the future. We're thinking about how we want to plan our things out. And it is the time of planners. Planners are everywhere right now, right? So you go into a bookstore and there's just a whole section full of planners. And I saw this quote somewhere. I'm not sure where I originally saw it, but I really liked it because I think it's really important to keep in mind. If you are somebody that's a chronic procrastinator, this is going to speak to you. If you find yourself really in the muck of it, then this is a quote for you. If you're somebody that just occasionally procrastinates, this isn't so much for you. But the quote is, telling somebody who procrastinates to buy a planner is like telling someone with chronic depression just to cheer up. And I think that's really true, because what happens when you tell somebody with depression to cheer up? You make them feel worse. You completely miss the point of what's going on with them. And it just makes them feel bad. And I think that's the same thing that happens. Well, similar, because depression versus procrastination, those are not the same thing. One might be the cause of the other, but they're not the same thing. But telling somebody who is really having a lot of problems with procrastination to just go and buy a new planner, that's not helpful. It's going to come across as somebody not really hearing them. It's going to be frustrating for them, and it's just going to set them up for failure, because buying the new planner, if somebody is a chronic procrastinator, is not going to solve the problem. So that said, let's look into some of the things behind procrastination sometimes. So there's lots of reasons why we procrastinate. We might be afraid. It might be a fear of failure, a fear of success. It might be perfectionism, right? It might be that you're afraid it's not going to be exactly perfect, and so you procrastinate on it. It might be stress. It might be overwhelm. There's just so much to do. Where to start? Let me just do something else for a while. It might be distraction. It could be maybe your space is really disorganized and that's causing you a distraction. It could be that your to-do list or that planner isn't working for you and that's frustrating for you. It could be something else entirely. It could be that you're too focused on productivity and you find yourself in a spiral downward. I know that's happened for me. I know back probably 3 or 4 years ago when I first dipped my toe into productivity coaching, I felt like I had to be productive for like the entire time I was in my office, like butt in chair doing work. And if I was ever not doing something that moved me toward my goals, if I wasn't hustling and busy, then I was failing. Then I was procrastinating and there was problems and things weren't working. And it put so much unneeded stress on me that I just spiraled downwards and kind of crashed and burned a little bit, if I can be honest with you. And one of the things that I learned was super important for me was to switch the way I thought about productivity. And instead of saying, what can I do now, right now to be productive, I changed the question to be, what can I do right now to support me being productive? Excuse me. Sorry about that. And sometimes what supported me most for being productive was not butt in seat working on something. Sometimes it was going and reading a book. Sometimes it was just walking downstairs to get a glass of water. Sometimes it was being done for the day and going out and doing something else, or occasionally taking a nap. Maybe I'm not feeling great. It's recognizing what I needed that wasn't necessarily hustling and moving me forward on my goals, but they were supporting me, which ultimately did move me forward to my goals. So just think about that and how you might apply that to your life. And another reason we can procrastinate has to do with self-care. So there's a lot of times I hear from people, I just don't have time to do some of the things I enjoy because I'm pouring so much of myself, into my business or into my work or into, fill in the blank. And sometimes that's true, but a lot of times it's super important to take care of ourselves so that we can have more to available for our business or for our work or fill in the blank, right? So I know for me, if I find myself procrastinating, one of the first places I look is, am I getting enough sleep? Because if I'm not getting enough sleep, I can't focus. I had that problem on Monday, as a matter of fact. I got some things done, but by the time about 11:30 hit, I was so done. I had been running all day on Saturday, and on Sunday I was just exhausted, and then I stayed up too late. Anybody like me, and the tireder I am, the more difficult it is for me to go to bed at a decent time because the filter, the decision-making part just isn't working well. That's what happens for me. So I'm just making sure I'm not missing anybody's comments. Excuse me. So if I am having problems staying focused, I know that the first place for me to look is, am I getting enough sleep? The second thing I look at is, what am I feeding myself? Because if I'm just having sugar, then I'm not going to be productive, right? I need protein. I'm somebody that definitely needs protein and a few carbs to keep myself working, but a little sugar is not going to bother me. A lot of sugar is not going to be helpful. So pay attention to what you're feeding the body. Are you moving throughout the day? Or are you just sitting in one place all day? So get more sleep, take care of yourself. And also, when you find yourself procrastinating or something doesn't go as planned, or you're really down on yourself, forgive yourself. If you didn't complete a task, look at why didn't that happen and learn from it. Don't beat yourself up. Use it as a learning opportunity. Just look at what happened with it. Is it because you weren't prepared enough? Is it because it maybe just wasn't the right time for it? What's going on there? And use it as a learning experience. Don't use it as a way to beat yourself up. All right. So now let's look at the two forms of procrastination. So the first type of procrastination goes like this. You're getting lots of stuff done. The little tiny items are getting checked off of your to-do list, but the big ones are not getting done. The big tasks just aren't getting done. You're like, oh, I ran out of time, but look at all this other stuff I got done. And I call this productive procrastination. So it's when lots of things are getting done, you're moving things forward, but the things that you say are really the important things aren't getting done. You're running out of time, you're not making time for them, and it's productive procrastination, right? Because again, you're getting a lot of things done, but the really important one isn't moving forward. So this can look like doing all the really low priority tasks first, and like I said, running out of time for the big one. Saying you're going to start project whatever, whatever big thing you have going on or is coming up, that you're going to start it today, right after I do this other thing. Or maybe the same really important task or project has been on your list for days or weeks or even longer, and it's just not moving forward. So, anybody here a master at productive procrastination? Anybody here do that? Let me know in the comments. And some of the things that you can do to counteract or to some strategies around productive procrastination are: be aware of excuses that masquerade as reasons. So just notice when it's happening. Notice if that thing that you said was the most important task for the day or for the week isn't getting done. And recognize that, yes, those other things needed to get done, but maybe those are more excuses than they are actual reasons. And another thing to look at here is that task or that project broken down enough? So if it's going to take you any more than 90 minutes, or if it's going to take you 90 minutes or more to complete it, maybe you need to break it down a little bit. Look at what are the steps that need to happen so that you can do that task. I know for me, if I have email 5 people on my list, if I don't know exactly who they are and what I'm emailing about, I'm not going to do it because it's just not laid out well enough for me. Excuse me, I need to take a drink. And that way, if you break it out into the smaller tasks, you can start making progress on it, but maybe you only have a half hour to work on it. That's okay. You can do the first couple of things, or the first thing that's maybe you only have a half hour to do. Get that done, and then move on to the appointment or the fire that needs to be put out or whatever it is that's come up, but you've got part of it done. You're making progress on it now. All right. So the other form of productivity, and let me switch my display here. The other form of productivity is this. It's that cycle of productivity or unproductivity. And if you've heard me speak places before, you might have heard this or seen this before. Can you see that? Ellen says she has lots of procrastination. Yes, you can see it. Good. And basically what this cycle of unproductivity is short bursts of productivity followed by long periods of other stuff. When really you want that switched, right? You want long periods of productivity followed by short periods of other stuff. Like, that's the way you want things to work generally. So this is really unproductive procrastination. So we have the productive procrastination, I'm doing lots of things, moving things forward, but not the really important stuff. And then you have this, which is the unproductive procrastination. And does this cycle look like some of your days? I know I certainly have bouts of this, where, especially again, where I'm tired or if I'm hungry, where I kind of get caught in this cycle, where I go to Facebook to do something, and then all of a sudden I'm doing something else completely. And I'm like, wait a minute, why was I here? And it looks like this, and it's generally because I'm tired or I'm hungry. So some strategies to kind of nip this particular cycle in the bud, or in the butt, is to check your email only at certain times. Set a time limit for when you're on Facebook or you're on social media or checking your email. Close your email, close social media. Again, be aware of excuses that masquerade as reasons, and be aware of distractions. What does it look like? So for me, I know that if I am cleaning the bathroom in the middle of the day, then I'm probably avoiding something because I am not somebody who enjoys cleaning. So if that's something that I'm doing, then there's something else going on. So just be aware of what that looks like for you. All right, so if anybody has any questions about anything that I have covered or any aha moments that have popped up for you, I would love to hear about them. Share them in the comments. And if there's anything that you would like more information on, let me know that too. So last but not least, sometimes one of the reasons that we procrastinate is we don't have the right tools in our toolbox. So most of the time we're taught specific things that work for other people. Hello, pile of planners that don't work for me. And sometimes it can feel like you're trying to fit that square peg into a round hole, right? It's like, it seems to work for other people. Why isn't this working for me? And just a quick story. I had a former client who has a very busy schedule that changes a lot. And she had tried lots and lots of things, but nothing really worked well with her schedule. She didn't always know the night before what her afternoon was going to look like. In the morning, she might not know what her afternoon was going to look like. Her schedule was always changing. It was just the nature of what her business was. And she did the program that I have coming up, Take Your Productivity to a New Level, the 4-week productivity mastery program. And through the tools and the things that she learned in that program, she created a way to track her projects and schedule her to-dos in a way that really worked for her. Because one of the things that's really highlighted in that program is here are the basics, and then you can figure out how you want to apply them. And I'm there to help you with, ideas and thoughts about different ways you might apply these to your business. And that's what we did. When we had time at the end of the teaching segment, we talked about it. She shared, this is what hasn't worked for me in the past. How do I do this going forward? We brainstormed some ideas, and she came up with something. We came up together with something for her to try, and we tweaked it, and it's worked really well for her. So now when she has a really busy time where it might take her a couple of weeks of just crazy things, and letting things slide for a couple of weeks, instead of it taking her 2 hours to really get a good handle on where she is and what needs to happen, it takes her a half hour to get back on track. I mean, that's huge, right? Where instead of thinking, oh, I have to take, so much of my day just to get back on track, it took her a half hour, just one morning sitting down, getting everything pulled together again, and then she was off and running, and it wasn't a big project. So I know you're probably not looking to start anything right now. It's almost the end of December, the holidays and New Year's and everything coming up, but you can put it on your schedule for January. So the next session of the Take Your Productivity to a New Level program is starting January 17th, and there's some really great bonuses for people who sign up before the 29th. So one of those bonuses, the best bonus, if I do say so myself, is you get a private 45-minute session with me after the program, and you can use that to solidify goals, to walk through anything you still have questions about, strategize on places that you're stuck, review and receive feedback on your plan, and it's just a coaching session for you to use however you want. The second thing that you get is email mini assignments from me each week. They're not things that you have to set aside like a half hour or 45 minutes for. It's just some things for you to kind of mull over and jot down some notes about. And then I still have one other bonus left, and that's this here, which is the cornerstone of what I use to keep myself on track. And they're not specific journal pages. They're just notebook pages for you to use in a way that works for you. And in the program, I'll go over how I use them and kind of give you an idea of how you might want to use them for yourself and tweak them. So this is a small group program. There's only room for 15 people. There are spaces that have already been filled. So if this is something that you're interested in, please go in and take a look at it and join us. I'm just going to copy that link into the chat there. So that's all I have for you today. This topic was steps to procrastinate less. And it was Wednesday Live with Evie number 48. And we talked about common reasons we procrastinate, why self-care is so important and what it has to do with our procrastination, and the two types of procrastination, the productive and unproductive procrastination, what they both look like, and some ideas about what to do about them. So normally this is where I say I will see you next week. However, I won't because I am taking next week off. So I will return in January, same time, same place, and I will see you then, the first Wednesday in January. I believe that's the 3rd. So one parting thought I want to leave you with today. This video, just something to think about as you close up 2017. And some of you have probably seen this before, but this is what people think success looks like. You start at the beginning of the year, the beginning of whatever, you lay out your goals, you decide this is where you want to be, you follow the path, and you end up there directly, right? And this is what success really looks like. It can be messy. You take 2 steps forward and a step back. You learn what works for you, what doesn't work. And each time you do it, it becomes less of a knotted ball of frustration. But in the meantime, that's what it is. And so if your 2017 resembles the knot there on the right, then congratulations. You're exactly where you should be. You have had a lot of success this year because you've had things that you've learned from, you've moved forward from, and you came out on the other side of that knotted mess. So let's set 2018 up to be maybe a little less of a knot, but it'll still be there. But get yourself support, whether that's me or someone else, so that it doesn't feel as messy. Maybe that's the best way for me to say that. So yes, that's what people think success looks like. That's what it actually is. And until next year, you have a fabulous, fabulous time. Enjoy your loved ones or whoever you spend the holidays and New Year's with. So until then, much love.